I think it's pretty ironic that pregnancy is referred to as the time a woman is expecting. While pregnant with my first child, I can tell you I had no idea what to expect at all. Maybe it's because I'm adopted and my mother didn't have stories about being pregnant with me. Or maybe it's because I believed a bunch of books and blogs and birthing classes could actually prepare me for childbirth and parenthood. But based on all of the anecdotes I'd heard and read about the various different experiences during this time, I went into my first labor expecting to give birth to a watermelon-sized baby girl Sasquatch. And I'd formed some pretty specific ideas about how the birth was going to go and how I thought I wanted to raise my kids. But no book and no blog and no birthing class could ever have prepared me for the moment they put that precious baby boy into my arms for the first time. And nearly 3 years later, I've come to the realization that parenting is a lifelong masterclass in learning to expect the unexpected. Our son, CJ, is blossoming into a funny little guy with passionate likes and dislikes of his own, and with tendencies that put nearly all of my preconceived notions about how I wanted to raise him to the test. And 9 weeks ago tomorrow, I gave birth to our second child, another boy, whom we named John. And even though everyone warned me, it's still a surprise just how different John really is from his older brother. Even though we thought we knew what to expect, little John is another reminder that when welcoming someone new into the world, no matter what our preconceived notions might be, anything is possible. Most recently, though, I've begun to think more deeply about another aspect of being in relationship with young people, whether as a parent or in another way. And while it's been wondrous to be entrusted with the care of these two precious souls in my life, entrusted to guide and shape and teach them this holy business of growing into good human beings, I'm coming to learn just how much of a two-way street this holy business really is. Because CJ and John are teaching me just as many things as I hope I'm teaching them. Just by virtue of their presence in my life, their very beings, they are transforming who I am becoming as much as I am transforming who they are becoming. And I imagine those of you who are parents or aunts or uncles or teachers or friends to children can think of times when the traditional roles were reversed like this, when you learned more from a child than you taught them. And this morning's story for all ages speaks to this experience of the unexpected, I think, but in a different way. It speaks to what it feels like when roles are shifted in this way. I mean, here's this perfectly normal thief preparing to carry out this perfectly normal robbery, and instead the Zen master treats the thief like a guest. The story doesn't elaborate on exactly what might have gone through the thief's mind when he decided to give up thievery and start studying with the Zen master, but I wonder if it might be because the Zen master's unexpected welcome helped the thief come to see himself in a new way. I wonder if his welcome helped the thief come to see himself as a person capable of more than just taking what he wanted or needed. I wonder if the Zen master's unexpected welcome allowed the thief to begin to see himself as a person capable of receiving what he wanted and what he needed as a gift, capable of showing gratitude for gifts received. This dynamic of having the tables turned, of unexpected change, is also what Gordon Atkinson is really getting at in this morning's reading, I think. He's honest enough to tell us that we'll never find the perfect church filled with perfect people and perfect programs. Instead, he says we have to make do with a silly bunch of dreamers and children prone to mistakes and blunders and misjudgments. You'll change them, and they'll change you. You'll meet somewhere in the middle. For me, This is really the whole point of religious community in a nutshell. Because I don't believe church is just a product to be consumed or a place where we come only to take what we want. No, church is meant to be a community of people who encourage one another to recognize everyone's gifts and potential. It's a place where, like the Zen master, we encourage one another to see ourselves and others in new ways. And it's a place where you'll change others and they'll change you in ways more wonderful than anyone can even imagine right now. And yet so often I hear Unitarian Universalists describe their churches with phrases like a community of like-minded people, or a community where you don't have to believe in fill in the blank. And I always wonder, what about the people who do believe in whatever you filled in that blank? After all, churches that practice our faith aren't really meant to be havens from all of the things we don't like about the world, or places that exist solely for the purpose of attracting people who think and feel exactly the way that we do in the world. Because if that were truly the purpose of church, our many congregations across the country probably wouldn't have grown into the diverse communities that they have become. Just think about how our associations work to welcome the LGBT community over many decades has transformed us and the world around us. Years ago, some of our churches made the intentional decision to welcome people who were, and unfortunately still are, rejected from many faith communities. Later, our association followed those congregations' lead and came up with the Welcoming Congregations program to help congregations pursue this work with care and intention, to help uncover deeply rooted homophobia and the many things that were standing in our way from truly being welcoming places. And just as my children are transforming me, our congregations began to experience something unexpected. They began to be transformed in ways more wonderful than they could ever have imagined by the gifts and blessings that these new members brought with them. You'll change them and they'll change you. And eventually our congregations began not only to be changed, but to make changes. We changed our wedding ceremonies to be fully inclusive of same-gender couples. We began to advocate for equality in marriage and the military. And as more and more states pass equal marriage legislation, our faith-led efforts are slowly but surely making a difference. Slowly but surely helping to bend the universe's arc toward justice. And so I wonder, who we aren't welcoming today. I wonder whose transformative presence we're missing out on. I wonder who we might learn to welcome, not only because we have a life-changing faith to offer them, but because of the gifts and the blessings they might bring that would transform us and our communities. I wonder what might happen if we decided to work in the spirit of the Welcoming Congregations program, but around the work of welcoming the homeless or welcoming the immigrant. I can't predict what our congregations, what our association, or our world might look like if we chose to do work like that 30 years from now. It would mean we would have to learn how to expect the unexpected, give up some control of what our churches might become. But I imagine that in making our hearts and our congregations welcoming places for people outright rejected in so many others, all of us would be changed in ways more wonderful than we can even imagine today. The words I wish to leave you with this morning come from my friend and colleague, the Reverend Victoria Weinstein, who is the minister of our congregation in Greater Lynn, Massachusetts. She writes this: "Today, the church is an outsider institution, as it should always have been. It exists to question cultural norms, to help us want the right things and to hunger and thirst for justice, to make us uncomfortable with the gap between our professed ideals and our actions. It exists to claim us, to shake us, to demand of us, and to make us a new people, siblings of one another, lovers of the world, workers on behalf of the kingdom of equals, the kind of people that others are so drawn to they can't help but ask, wow, how did you get trained to be such an amazing human being? My church is training me, we would answer. It's a lot of inner work, a lot of thinking and reflecting and talking with people about how to be, and it's expensive. I give my church a lot of my time and my money, but it really is working a miracle in my life, which feels amazingly freer and richer, more meaningful, deep, and hopeful now than it did before. If you're interested, I'd love for you to be my guest this Sunday morning. May it be so for us, and may it be so for all of our beloved congregations. Amen.